Well, Topher, the question I always have for the reader is, as you were reading, did a passage or a phrase stand out to you and have, a personal meaning for you right now?
What stood out to me was failing to get these according to my perfectionist dreams and specifications, and recognize this has been one of my character defects, that I always have this perfectionist idea of the way I want things to turn out and the way that I want others to act and behave, and it's caused me a lot of problems in the past, and that's kind of what my most recent journey has been, is letting go of those perfectionist ideas.
Yeah, that's a real, well, you've highlighted something I think that probably everyone in this meeting can relate to. We could all probably raise our hands and say amen to that because it's something that seems to be a curse that we all suffer from. That somehow at some point we got this idea that if we did things perfectly, we would be okay. It's really interesting, isn't it? It's such a curse because we drive ourselves crazy, but those people around us that we put it on, we drive them crazy too. I mean, it's like it becomes, Bill called it an impossible way of life. It really is, man. It is. I'm glad you're working on that. Good for you, Topher. What is the AA technology toolbox, by the way?
Yeah, so this past weekend, it's a National AA Technology Workshop. They held an annual um, workshop that kind of sprang out of the one of the forums. So some real interesting topics and information, and just how we can help and grow the use of technology to better carry our message.
Oh, that's great, man. Well, if you've got any tips for us, let us know. I'd love to
Will
hear
do.
it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, as I mentioned earlier, tonight we're going to try a new format. So here's how it's going to be. We're going to begin the workshop tonight with an emotional sobriety nutshell. Tom Rutledge and I have been collecting these for a while now. So Tom's going to share one and discuss that. And if there's room in the first 10 minutes, and Tom Potash is going to keep us to 10 minutes, though we might throw a second one out in the evening. After that, I'm going to introduce the core concept of emotional sobriety. And I'm going to invite a panel in that's going to include Tom Potash, Julia Heidman, Tom Rutledge, Carly Crone, and if Patrick Newman wants to join us, he's welcome to come in as well. I will kick off the discussion of that core concept, and they will come in and we'll discuss that for about 20 minutes. At that point in time, we're going to open up the meeting for you to ask me and the panel questions about anything about emotional sobriety. It does not have to be related to the topic of this evening. If there's a situation that you're struggling with or something going on, then please come in, present it to us, and we'll see if we can give you some perspective on it and some way of integrating or applying these principles of emotional sobriety. So that'll be about the last 25 minutes. Now, please note that we are recording the whole thing. So if you choose to raise your hand and come in and discuss it with us, you're giving us permission to record you and post it. If you don't want to be recorded, then put your question in the chat and Tom will read the question, or someone, Julia might read the question, and we'll discuss it more anonymously for you. But if you choose to raise your hand and come in, we are asking you to understand that you're giving us permission to post this video on that YouTube channel. Okay, so with that being said, welcome to the nutshell segment of the Emotional Sobriety Workshop. And I'm going to get Patrick Newman to kind of get some kind of voiceover where we have a booming voice that goes, nutshell wisdoms or something like that. Patrick, that's your task for next week, okay?
Roger.
I could
Got
just
it.
sing something.
Oh, boy. Well, where is Tom? Put Tom in here with me.
I'm
Come on, Tom. Where
I'm
are you?
I'm right here.
There.
You sure
Yes,
about
there
that?
you are. There you are.
Mm.
All right. Well, listen, you've been collecting these nutshells and I've been collecting this. So why don't you throw one out and you and I will discuss it for a few minutes.
Okay, yeah, I just heard a rumor that we were doing that, so I went to my phone to see what I got, and I just this is just a random selection from my phone, and I like it because it is sort of the core of, I think, the core of emotional sobriety, and it's one of the oldest ones I have. I've been doing this since way back in the 1900s, and that's how old you are. But this one comes up every day of my life when I'm dealing with my own stuff and with other people, and they're very simple, very to the point. The first part of any problem that I must solve is that which is between me and me.
Wow.
That's
Read
getting
it
it. That's
again.
that's
Yeah,
I'll
read
read it
it.
again.
Read it
It's
again. Read it
taking it
again.
from the out here and bringing it in.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
part of any problem, the first part of any problem that I must solve is that which is between me and me.
Yeah.
And so I would just add to that. It doesn't mean there's not problems to solve between me and you, but it starts here. And it's so congruent with what we learned in 12 steps. It's so
Yeah.
congruent with what emotional sobriety teaches us. It's it's ultimately a really major part of the Serenity Prayer. Focus where you can do something.
Well, it really goes to the point of is that, you know, you and I often talk about these self parts, right? That we're
Yeah.
comprised of a lot of different parts of us. So if we just make this real specific, the part of me that's emotionally dependent is going to
Hmm.
react one way to a situation.
Hmm.
The part of me that has some recovery, what we call the recovery self, right? That
Okay.
makes the recovery decisions. I really like that, right? The part that
Hmm.
would make a more mature decision on the
Yeah.
situation is going to have a very different opinion. And it becomes which part of us are we going to let speak for us? And so
Well,
you're right on because that's what Bill was saying is that when we let our dumb and raging Mr. Hyde take over, boy, we're dropping to the lowest common denominator, aren't we?
well, we're not, but see this, and the thing is, when we start looking, I mean, there's all kinds of angles on this, but a lot of times the more negative, destructive saboteurs in our head, they tend to, well, two things. They're they don't wait to be asked. They speak unsolicitedly all the time.
Yeah.
You never have to go to any of those guys and say,
They don't
"Hey,
raise their hand, do they? They don't raise
Love
their
to get
hand.
your
They don't.
thoughts."
Hey,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't raise
no,
their hand.
never
Hey, will
gonna
you
never
call on
gonna
me?
do
I
that.
got something to say to you. Please,
And
please.
the other thing is they're loud. They're louder than the other guys. And so what this goes to another
That's
piece of
true.
this, which is if we want what we sometimes forget, and sometimes what you and I, our job is to remind people is just because those guys are speaking when they want to and being as loud as they want to, it doesn't mean those other wiser, better parts are not still there. It's like we because we think of ourselves with that what I call the myth of singularity, and we forget that there's many of us up here, and it's a good thing, not a
Right.
crazy thing. That
Hmm.
basically, because what you're talking about. So when Mr. Hyde is running loose, it's like we're teaching people. Well, where's Dr. Jekyll, because he can actually step in here
Yeah.
and have a say about that. And it's our job to listen to all of these guys and decide. That's the recovery decision. What
Yes.
am I going to do? I'm the one who decides. Mr. Hyde doesn't decide. Even my
Yeah.
recovery voice doesn't decide.
Yeah.
I am going to decide. I need to listen. I need to listen to this stuff. And if my decision, and a lot of times for myself, I sometimes if I'm not succeeding at something, I look back and realize my decision is not strong. It's like a weak foundation. I really, how serious am I about changing this or doing this? And once you have that decision, that voice can still be there even when the negative or the sabotaging voices are there too. Yeah.
Well, I like what you said one time when I forgot. Well, you said it many times, but I think we were working with someone together and you looked at the guy and said, God, you listen to that part of you so seriously as though that part has something good to say. And you said, when is it giving you some tips that have worked out? I mean, and then the guy goes, God, you're right. What am I doing?
Well, yeah. Well, look at that. That's that. Yeah, I remember that very time. It's like but the thing is, if you think about, I call it like the prophet within, the one who makes the prophecies about what's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
You know, I ask people, okay, what's the track record of your prophet? You know, I'll tell you what the track record is. They're never right, ever. It's like,
that's right.
now unless they cheat and say something like something bad is going to happen. Okay, well that's cheating.
Yeah,
But
yeah, gee,
whatever it is,
yeah,
I'm not saying bad things don't happen, but the things that the guy tells me to be afraid of, the thing I'm supposed to be afraid of that's going to happen tonight or tomorrow, it's not going to happen.
yeah,
And it doesn't happen. And so what I ask people to do, and this is where we use that intrapersonal place to kind of make our point, which is if you knew somebody interpersonally who was that bad at predicting things, when they spoke, would you really listen? It's like, no. But the weird part about it being inside our consciousness is when that prophet speaks, we go, what? And we have
yeah.
to be reminded. Got to break
That's
myself
right.
out of that trance and say, no, you don't have to listen to that crap.
You're right. It's almost like we give it this unconditional validity,
Yeah.
right? This unquestioned validity because it's coming from us.
It's habit. It's also
It
habit
is.
after all these years. So a lot of this, we should probably focus on this on the podcast pretty soon. It's amazing how much of what we have to overcome is really, by the time we're here, is habit. We're
Yeah,
breaking habits, but we break habits by creating better habits.
yeah, great.
Yeah.
Wow. Wonderful. Great nutshell, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Let's go on to our second segment. So Patrick will have a big gong or something that'll move us into the second segment, which is going to be discussing our core concept or a core concept of emotional sobriety tonight. And what I thought we would start this discussion with is talking about emotional sobriety as a quest for freedom.
Yeah.
When you boil it all down, is that what we're really striving for is to be free. And see, what happens is that very early on in our life, for a lot of different reasons, that we no longer are the determining force in our life, that we turn over that our life, if you will, to this false self that we think that we need to have to be okay. Because God, if you really know who I want, you wouldn't love me. But I'm going to go ahead and manufacture some kind of a facade that hopefully will get you to fall in love with me, to make me feel like I belong, to make me be a part of and stuff. So when that happens, the minute that happens, is we lose the possibility of being the determining force in our life. And our life is now run by all of these shoulds. So when we start to
Yeah.
talk about freedom, what we're talking about is the freedom from all of these ideas of who we're supposed to be, how we should act, what should happen, how life should be, all these concepts that we've adopted as though they're an, an, a truth, right? this
Mhm.
this 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 that this is the reality, but it's not the reality. It's the construction. It's a social construction of reality that I've created to fit
Yeah.
my particular experiences in my life. And that's what happens. And the way that Karen Horney talked about it is that the minute we do that, we lose we lose the fact that we're no longer the determining force in our life. We lose that ability. But even more, we lose being sincere with ourselves. Now, when she said that, I had to really stop and think, well, what does that mean? It means that we're no longer concerned about being who we are. We're concerned with actualizing a concept of ourselves. So, in one way, we've thrown in the towel. We're no longer interested in ourselves. We're interested in being this person that we think we should be. Well, freedom is the freedom to let go of all of these ideas and concepts of who we should be, how life should be, and start to experience ourselves as we are. It's really a homecoming, is the way to think about it.
Mm.
We need to welcome ourselves home because we've been exiled, if you will. We've been sent to Siberia for a long time. And now, when we start to let go of these ideas and we start to embrace ourselves and we start to move towards that self acceptance, now we start to experience a freedom. And that freedom has so many different ramifications. I love what Tom and I were talking about one time when we were talking about, like, one of the things that we recover is the ability to choose.
Yes.
Mhm.
We don't realize that we lost that my God, I can pause. And even if my Mr. Hyde shows up, I don't have to listen to Mr. Hyde. I don't have to be reactive. I can try to find the best in me and let that part of me do the talking. Instead of being reactive, I can have what we like to think of as an active response, a response that's thoughtful and really captures the essence of who we are in that particular moment in time.
Hey,
So
let me
this
add
I
this. Let me add this to it,
yeah,
but
bro,
because
please.
even if you're deciding something, you'd later decide that was a bad
Yeah,
decision. As long as you keep it in mind that it's your decision, you get to decide. You can learn as long as you know that.
that's
It's
right.
like
That's
if
it.
you that's you what happens if we don't know that we're here to learn and that we always have choices, we always have the capacity to learn, is that we just do what we just do it because it's habit. Yeah.
Well, we have the freedom to learn from our mistakes. We have the
Yeah.
freedom to learn
And
from
the
our
what
experience.
you and I've been talking about is the responsibility. That one of the things we were
That's
talking about is
right.
one of the tenets of emotional sobriety is not only the freedom that's a fact that we have a freedom to do that, but the emotional sobriety is we have a responsibility to do that.
So let's open it up to Tom Potash and Julia and Carly to see what do you guys think about this idea of freedom and
So
emotional sobriety?
I,
first, I just want to go back to Tom's prophet idea, and my prophet's name is Nostradamus because he never gets it right.
Nostradamus. I like that. A cousin of Nostradamus, right? Is that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
that's good, Tom?
I'll just keep it brief because I do want to get to the members tonight. The idea of freedom is frightening to someone coming, for myself, coming into this experience, right? I didn't know what it meant to stop drinking and drugging, right? I didn't know what it meant to let go of character defects or defaults and to try to be someone new. I didn't know what it meant to start to explore emotional freedom. But every time I took that incremental step in this journey, it opened up wider and wider possibilities. And Bill Wilson said, our troubles we think are of our own making, and that is both bad news and good news. The good news is I can unmake them, right? If I made them, I can unmake them, or I can make new choices, and that's what the freedom is. And I appreciate this continuing discussion and digging into this
Yeah.
topic because it offers so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Amen.
I think what you said, the key word to me is choice. I have choice over things, even that I didn't think that I had choice over. Um, and I think you said something earlier when you were talking about your nutshells, Tom, about habitual. And I
Hmm.
have found so many of my responses and even the options that I see in front of me, it's habitual thinking. I
Hmm.
think there's only A and B, and I have to choose between those two. And often there's also like an option C, D, and E. And
Hmm.
if I'm open to that, if I'm willing to pause and really listen to myself and listen to others, I can see those other options.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
scary part is I'm responsible for my choices.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just say that as we head into the holidays and people are going to see family, and I call it the brainwasher refresher course. That go visit family so you remember how you got to be the way you are. Is that sometimes you just you I forgot what I was going to say. How about that?
It's the brainwashing refresher course.
Oh yeah, they're basically it's a really good time. Thank you, Alan. It's a really good time to use those C, D, and E choices, Julia. It's like because and I teach people, and I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to be mean to families. It's like, but I teach people how to be different. Respond differently to their families and show them that it's fun because you can really confuse your family. It's like I say, you say this and you mean it and you say it with a straight face and then you just shut up and watch them. And it's like, at the very least, what you're going to see is just some confusion because it's like you're not reading off the right script anymore.
If one
You're like,
person changes the dynamic, right?
yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
else knows what to do anymore.
They don't know
Yeah.
what to do. And
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want people to know that that can be fun. You're not hurting
Yeah.
anybody. It's like, just let them learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just
Charlie.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick, it was interesting when I was hearing both Tom and Alan talk. It was like this paradox because what I used to think was freedom were my shoulds and expectations, and
Yeah.
that everyone would just act
So,
according to my plan, then I would be free.
yeah.
When I woke up to reality and realized that was never going to happen, then the freedom actually, I had choice in my freedom. And that what just is so inspiring continuously about emotional sobriety is that there's a momentum to it. Is that once you start down the path and you get a taste of freedom, it's like, I want more of that. Okay, if I stay on the path of emotional sobriety, become more and more free. So, so that's my.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that any discussion of freedom needs to include this. And many people have observed this, and I think it's so right on, is that our greatest fear is not of death. Our greatest fear is being alive.
Mm.
Because when we become alive, and this is what Tom Potash was saying that he got in touch with when he started to get, I become responsible for my life. And to take that radical responsibility used to feel like, oh my God, it was what an order. I can't go through with it, right? That kind of a thing. But as we start to grow in some confidence in our ability to cope with things, we can realize that I have participated in being controlled by all of these forces, right? I wanted my life to be determined because I have an ace in the hole. I mean, come on. You can't expect more from me than this. Look at how I've grown up. Look at how I developed, right? But to take radical responsibility means to let go of that and say, I adopted that. That is me. And I will stand on myself, stand on my own 2 feet and own that responsibility. It's funny because Dr. Nathaniel Brandon said the same thing. He says, the minute we give up this idea that we're not enough, he says it's scary because at that point, you are completely responsible for your life and how you're living it.
Well, and I would also say then we're also developing a new relationship to ourselves, being free
Yes.
or being
Yes.
and constrained to the
Yes.
expectations. And it's a complete, like, it's just can be disorienting and it's a reconstellation of our personality and our parts.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
learning to inhabit ourselves as a mature person, an emotionally sober person, and a free person. So
Yep.
there's a learning to that and how to embody that as we continue to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice point. All right, we're going to open this up now to your questions. So if you don't want to be on camera, then please put your question in the chat. But we'll start by raising your hands, and then Tom will go ahead and bring you into this little group with us, and you can ask us your question, and I'll take a shot at it, and then the rest of the panel, if they've got something to add, will also
We
contribute.
have
Alan's going to take a shot at it, and then we'll tell you the truth.
That's right. That's right.
We do have a question in the chat for starters. So
Let's start with that.
let's kick this off. When you make choices, do you not include God? I use meditation and ask for guidance. How does that fit in with what you are presenting?
Well, that's a great question because, some people have a belief in that if they're quiet, then that they, what do they say is, um, you know, um, prayer is talking to God, and then meditation is listening for an answer, right? Kind of a thing. And some people have that. Some people get quiet and try to listen to what they think is God within them, this organismic wisdom that's been given to us from some people think from God, some people think it's just part of the evolution that's happened and how we've evolved in our life. But the truth is whether you attribute it to God or whatever, there is a part of you that is wiser than other parts. There's no question about it. There's a part of you that can see things that other parts of you aren't able to see. And sometimes what happens is that as we begin our recovery, we start to recover that wisdom that we lost. We start to listen to the best in us instead of the saboteur or instead of my, what do you call him, tequila boy? I love how
Yeah,
Tom
yeah,
talks about,
yeah,
yeah,
my
when
guy.
tequila
Yeah.
boy starts to talk to me, I don't have to say, he said, hey, let's go get a shot of tequila. And
Hmm.
before it used to be, yeah, where do we go?
Hmm.
What's about who's got the cheapest tequila tonight, right?
That's right.
Or it can be, no, I don't think that that's in our best interest anymore. So now we start to learn how to act for ourselves in a very different way. Is that God speaking through us, manifesting itself? Maybe it's just other people see it a different way, but whatever works for you, use it, but listen to that wisdom. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
How do you guys experience that in
Well,
terms of a
I just
question?
think it's when you said belief system is that's another one of those primary tenets of emotional sobriety is knowing your own the guiding principles, your own belief system. It's like so where that involves or centers around God, then that's how then that becomes part of the whole decision making process.
Yeah.
You know, listening to God and or asking God and being patient and waiting and stuff. All those are decisions. It's like I don't think it's anything different. It's just it's yeah. Don't get confused with the language that we have to. We're not necessarily changing what we do. We're just trying to describe what we have in common with this
Well,
stuff.
and where I've seen this become a problem for people, some people have been so abused in religion that it has totally, totally damaged their concept of what a God is.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's they can't turn to that because they've lost faith in it. They have to find something else.
And the other thing that happens as a result of this process is my first thought isn't the worst thought, right? It used to be like throw away your first thought, and go to the second voice. Like I think
Hmm.
Tom, like
Hmm.
if I'm start to believe in myself more, and I've done some of this work, my
Yeah,
first thought is actually valid, and
yeah,
not to just throw that
can
away
be.
and self doubt. All right,
And
we've got
and everything that we say is that's right. But also, yeah, our experience has to be the judge, not what we think, but when we live it.
yes.
Yeah.
And when you live it, that's going to tell you if it's right or not for you. Because you're going to be, if you pay attention to the experience you're going to have, and you're going to know if that was the path that you want to go down. And what we want to do is not be so attached to a specific idea. I may say, this seems right for me right now. I might change my mind in a minute. As I start to say it, I might say, you know what? I think I'm full of shit on this one. Hold on. I think I've had another awareness as I'm saying that to you. And that's okay.
That's freedom.
I don't have to be right anymore.
Well, we changed we've changed the measure. We're no longer focusing as we go forward. Am I right or wrong, or am I good or bad? We're saying, am I learning? What am I learning? And those are questions that are much more productive and much
Yeah,
more
much more.
supportive to our growth.
All right, we got
And
Bob,
that's why we got stuck in our maturity, because maturity is learning from experience.
and we've got Bob got his hand up, so you
Okay,
can
Rob,
unmute yourself,
come on
Bob.
in.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's an interesting idea about freedom and emotional sobriety because I was thinking about it. I think one of my issues is not necessarily a Jekyll and Hyde, but more like a Mr. Darling and Peter Pan scenario where I
That's good,
I
man. Say it
yeah,
again. Mr. Who?
Mr. Darling.
Mr. Darling,
He
right?
was
And
the
Peter
he was
Pan.
the
I got it.
he was the father of the yeah.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Oh, by the way, I played him in a children's play.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was Mr. Darling.
Because my mother passed away when I was 6, and it seems to me like even at 62 that 6-year-old is still the one that's navigating the ship, you know,
Yeah,
that and that 6-year-old is tired, exhausted from having to do this, and but I'm
yeah,
finding it hard at 62 years old to grow up. It's almost
yeah,
it's almost kind of like my life has been this journey of seeking for a mother somewhere, right?
yeah,
Seeking for someone who's going to help you out and who's going to essentially guide you through life, right?
yeah,
And I haven't really done a good job of that as a 6-year-old. It's made it hard to keep jobs. I'm separated
yeah.
from my wife. I mean, there's just all this stuff is coming to a conclusion now. Well, not to a conclusion, but to a head. And
Mhm.
so I guess for me, the freedom would be to take control to start growing as an adult. So yeah, and I'll pass.
Well, that's
Thanks.
a great observation, first of all, Bob. Um, there's a lot of different parts of us. And, when there's a trauma like that, that part of us, that 6-year-old, had needs that were not being met. And that's why it's still talking to you. It's saying, hey, there's some unmet needs I have that were never taken care of. And until those things are addressed and you start to deal with those unmet needs, not from someone else, but to give it to yourself, right? Is to find a way to be in relationship with that part of you where you can start to address those needs of that part of you. Do you know what some of those are? I mean, one of it was for guidance, right? Is what you're saying that someone would be looking out for your best interest?
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I taught school briefly. I taught high school briefly, and one thing that they taught us as new teachers was that children, believe it or not, crave structure, right?
Mhm.
And I think
Say that again. That children believe
that they crave structure, even
they,
though it appears like they're wanting to have this, anarchy. They really want somebody to tell them how to, how to behave in class or whatever. And I think I think that's something that I kind of like apply to my own life that, whether it be religion or because I grew up very religious, right? And one thing about religion that you said that was kind of interesting is religion in a lot of ways served to be an extra layer of shame for me. An extra layer of you're not living up to your expectations and you're not
yeah,
you're not like brother whoever next door or brother whoever next door.
not being the way you should be,
You're
right?
not be yeah,
Yeah.
the way you should be.
Big
So
good there. Yep. Yep.
so but yeah, no, I don't yeah, but yeah, that's exactly right. Is just looking for that structure or whatever.
Well, it's interesting how this kind of relates to self-esteem, right? 'Cause if self-esteem is the reputation you have with yourself, then one thing for you to look at would be how much structure do you give yourself where you need it, right? It was funny because Scott Peck, who wrote the book The Road Less Traveled, he brought up something that no other mental health or psychiatrist or psychologist ever discussed. And he said that part of mental health is discipline, is being able to hold ourselves to a certain task or to a certain standard and really follow through with it and really stay on top of it, which is another way of saying to provide structure for yourself. So how well do you do that for yourself?
Terribly.
Yeah.
I don't. I actually don't feel like I was ever gifted with self-esteem,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just because now it even kind of encroaches in on the executive function level, of just not taking care of yourself, and so it's a pretty insidious thing. So
Well,
I
listen,
just
Bob, when you say you weren't gifted it, I don't think any of us have been gifted with self-esteem. We don't. But the good news is there's a lot you can do to raise your self-esteem. There's a whole lot you can do. There's a lot of great, I mean, Nathaniel Brandon's work is out there. Emotional sobriety raises your self-esteem. Starting to really refuse to have an adversarial relationship with yourself, to start to stand for yourself, right? To stand up for yourself, to take care of yourself is so important, man. And that's something you can work on. It's available to you. It really is. You don't need to keep suffering like that, man, because I can hear it. It really has been tough for you. Well, let me open up to the other
thank
panel.
you,
I know
thank you,
Carly
appreciate
wants to say something about this. I can see she's biting at her bit. Carly is an IFS therapist, by the way, so she
Yeah,
comes.
I'm an IFS therapist, so like you were speaking right to my
I thought so. I thought so.
you did, you got that. Bob, one of the things that happens is that our like young parts, they don't recognize that we're adults and that we've grown up. And so part of like the process in that and the recovery is for the little one to be able to recognize you as a calm, loving, caring presence that can be there. And so sometimes there needs to be like an update that says like, hey, little guy, like, I've got this going on in my life, and these are the positive things that are happening. And this is, I'm growing, we're not back at 6 years old. And sometimes actually they're often stuck back in the past. And so he might be back at 6 years old. And if he has an opportunity, he might be wanting to come into the present with you, that you can be with him in the present and not, he doesn't have to be back there alone in the past, grieving the loss of his mom.
Great point, Carly. Great point.
Yeah. So there's so much work that can be done and that your whole system can get updated, and that then does like help with structure and it helps with self-esteem. And so there's a lot of hope with, yeah.
Bob, come to our retreat. You're a great candidate for that retreat, isn't he? Carly.
Yeah.
We'll be working with that stuff all that week.
Yeah.
I'll find
Don't
out
go, Bob.
about
It's a trap. It's a trap.
It is. That's right. We're going to help you.
You're gonna make me grow up, darn
We're
it.
going to make you grow up. Yeah. I saw Peter Pan went, oh no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to be a man.
That's right. But there is one thing though that I would like to preserve. I mean, I think one benefit from being this boy man, I guess you could say, is that I think you retain the curiosity of a child for
I
a
love it.
lot
Right on.
longer. And
That's right.
you retain that desire to learn and to,
Yep.
so
That's
I
right.
feel like that's been a benefit. So
And Bob,
yeah.
one other thing that just came to mind is that often our young parts, they may not have had a chance to grieve the way that they need to, and that you as an adult can hear and listen to the young boy who lost his mom and what was happening at the time for him.
Yep.
So that often, like, we think, and that's part of the dependency, is that we need someone else, and that is part of it. We need to be witnessed by other human beings, but there's something really powerful for you as an adult to be able to hear from that young part what it was like to lose a mom at such a young age.
Yeah, because I have no memory of her whatsoever.
Yeah.
I remember a hospital bed being in our living room, and then she's just gone, so
You don't have to have any memories for it.
yeah,
You
no,
can
that's
think
very
about it,
true.
Bob.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, all you got to do is be willing to start exploring it.
Have you ever seen the movie Shadowlands?
Mm-mm.
It's C.S. Lewis's trying to come to grips with death. He
Oh,
he lost his wife, and it's a great book actually, because it's seeing this man of faith go through this trauma, and at the very end of the movie, it shows the boy who was abandoned by his mother when she died, right? And C.S. Lewis, who is his stepfather now, and they're sitting up in the attic, and they just happen to be by a wardrobe, right? And and then they just both cry, and they just cry like inconsolably. And that's something I wish I had had with my dad, that I could have just sat down on the bed and just cried with my dad, and just,
not too late, man.
but
Not too
yeah,
late, Bob. It's
well,
not. Yeah, it's not
he
too
just
late.
he just he just passed away at 91, but I
It
guess I
doesn't
could still,
matter. It's still
you
not.
know,
It's
yeah,
still not too late. We can bring him right to the present. Trust me.
yeah, yeah.
Those are artificial constraints, man. They don't have to be there.
Okay,
You know what I remember I was in a workshop because I lost my dad when I was 11,
yeah,
and I was talking in this workshop about how much I missed him and stuff, and I wish he could be around so I could tell him a few things. And Dr. Kempler, my mentor at the time, said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You talk to him now. He's listening." And I started talking to him. It was unbelievable what came up. I was able to say everything I wanted to. And I was able to get connected to that grief and the sadness in a very moving way. So, sometimes we impose ideas on us that stop us from really doing what we need to do. Hey, man, I really appreciate how you came in here and what you talked about.
and I apologize for monopolizing things.
Oh, no, don't you do that.
Oh,
You
okay,
see what you
all
just
right,
did? Do you see what you just did? You just erased yourself, man. Come on.
yeah.
You gave everybody a gift tonight. You gave everyone a gift tonight by coming in here and being as open and as vulnerable and showing us the deep pain inside of you, man. I'm telling you, you kicked off this new format, I couldn't have wanted anything more. Thank
Awesome.
Yeah, a
you.
lot of
Thank
love,
you.
Bob.
You.
Thank
Thank
you. I
you for
appreciate it.
taking up all this time.
Yeah, and I just want to add that Alan's the captain of this ship, and he will keep someone on for as long as he wants to, and move on to the next when he can. So there's no timer. This is what this was the purpose of. So thank you, Bob, for
We all need
your
space,
participation.
Bob. I want to be heard. You want to be heard. We all need to be heard. And that's what this is about tonight, is really creating a safe space for you guys to come in, talk about what you need to talk about. And, we'll even next time we'll pay attention to even keep more room for this. So why don't we go ahead and wrap this up tonight, Tom?
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Apologize for those who had their hands up
Yeah,
and
keep your hands up for next time, please.
yeah, just stay like
Just
this. We'll
stay
see you
right
next
there.
time.
Don't move.
Yeah, drop me a note and I'll try and keep track. So maybe we can put you at the head of the
Yeah,
list
do
next
that.
week.
Would you, Tom? That would be wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. We'll just add that on. So thanks everybody for being here. This is awesome, different format, and really appreciate everyone's participation. There's been a lot of interest in the workshop that Carly and Alan are putting on next October. I did put that in the chat. That's a week-long intensive on emotional sobriety. It's a retreat in North Carolina. It looks really nice. Just saying. Okay, it's feeling a little jealous. The other workshop is this weekend. It's just a couple hour prepare for the holiday, so you don't have to repair for the holiday on emotional sobriety and Zoom. Again, I'll get those links right in the chat. And Tom has one as well. Tom, you want to talk about your workshop coming up?
Yeah, I got one on. It's November. It's just a 2 hour thing on November 22nd, I think. Yeah, it's really more just a little bit of practicing what we're talking about. Just I call it a demonstration workshop where we're going to just we'll kind of use ourselves as examples and sort through a few things together. It's a real collaborative thing. We'll have fun. I'll have fun.
Yeah. Somebody asked in the chat if how often does this meeting get together? Every week on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have time for Carly's meditation?
Carly's meditation.
Excellent.
Okay.
The last segment, Carly's meditation.
Carly's meditation. Okay. So so tonight, just with the theme of freedom, I was thinking as we were just kind of talking, just to connect inside and just to notice in your body the place that needs freedom. So is there a clicking? Okay, sorry. So just notice the felt sense, whether that's sensations or thoughts or physical sensations. It might even show up as energy. And this is just the body's way, the body's wisdom of speaking to you. So just asking what needs freedom. And you don't have to think it through, you don't have to figure it out. Just trusting the innate body's wisdom. And if it feels appropriate, you might want to place one of your hands or both of your hands over the place in the body that's speaking to you. And then gradually connecting with the simple fact that your body is breathing. And within just the natural cycle of the breath, you may notice the spaciousness that arises on the in-breath and the calm relaxation on the out-breath. So tuning in to the natural flow of the breath. Meeting the place inside of you that may be longing for freedom. And you may notice that as you continue to connect with the breath, as you feel your body breathing, as you feel the spaciousness and the quality of calm and relaxation, you may notice just a glimpse of freedom, a glimpse of spaciousness. And so then letting your attention rest on the spaciousness or on the glimpse of freedom. And knowing and feeling that both things can be happening at the same time. That there can be an opening to freedom and some part that's still contracted around freedom. And that part of emotional sobriety is being able to hold both. So just taking a couple of more breaths. feeling your body breathe, relaxing into the out breath. And when you feel ready, you can slowly open your eyes and come back to the space. Okay, thank you, everybody.